Welcome to this AFC Championship preview edition of Patriots Roundtable on CLNS Media. I'm Mike Petralia, Trags. I am joined by Mike Alongi. Mike, welcome to the show.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
First of all, before we begin this Patriots Roundtable, we want to get this business out of the way first. Listen up, Hoops fans. Basketball season is back. And now that your favorite hardwood heroes have returned to action, it's time for you to put your fantasy knowledge to the test to win huge cash prizes every night playing one-day fantasy basketball at DraftKings.com. At DraftKings, there are so many ways to play. Choose from public contests with huge cash prizes or private contests where you can compete against your friends. They've even got beginner and casual contests where you'll play against people of similar skill level. The best part, you get to draft a new team each day. And drafting a team is arguably the best part of fantasy. The only thing better, winning cold hard cash doing it. Just ask Dan from St. Louis or Jeremy from Austin. They both turned a $3 entry into $1,000. Huge cash prizes and bragging rights await only at DraftKings. Use code CLNS at DraftKings.com to play for free for your with your first deposit for your share of $10,000 in total prizes tonight. Don't wait. Use code CLNS at DraftKings.com now to choose your lineup. You can seriously cash in tonight. That's code CLNS. Only at DraftKings.com. The game inside the game. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Let's get to the business, Mike. This weekend, the Patriots and Jaguars, Tom Brady appearing in his 12th AFC Championship game. The Patriots in their 14th overall. And certainly, I don't think Tom Brady has ever dealt with a hand issue like he's going into this weekend as he did in the 11 previous AFC Championship games. What do you make of Tom Brady's hand injury and how the Patriots are playing it?
Well, I guess it's kind of a mystery, right? I mean, they're kind of slow playing this thing. Brady hasn't talked to the media or anything like that. We've had all the Zapruder film of all the the hand and whether the glove looks a little bigger and the thumb looks a little bigger and all this stuff.
Thumb.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think it's a little overblown. I mean, I can't imagine any scenario, short of his thumb actually falling off where he won't play in this game. So I can't imagine it's going to be too big of an impact. It'll impact something, I think, like the deep ball maybe, which is unfortunate because I do think that's a way that you can attack the Jaguars. I think that they have issues defending the deep ball, as we saw in the divisional round against the Steelers. So that could be a bit of a roadblock there. But I mean, the Patriots generally roll with that short passing game, the screen game, and things like that. And I have to imagine that Brady will still be able to throw the ball, 5 to 10 yards downfield.
Here's my concern, Mike, is that Tom Brady, when he is on, can throw that intermediate out pass as strong and through any type of conditions, though the conditions should be pretty mild, at least in the mid to upper 40s on Sunday. But he can throw it as well as anybody. If that thumb is off, if that right hand is aching just in the least, I think it can certainly affect his ability to be accurate. And some of this is not necessarily, as I've talked to a few people about this, it's not necessarily about the pain threshold. It's about the strength in the hand and the strength of the thumb and the rest of the hand when you're releasing the ball. And that's something that obviously we'll have to be concerned about. The other thing I think you want to watch very early on in the game is how smooth are the handoffs to Dion Lewis and Rex Burkhead if he comes back. Those are some of the things I'd be watching for with Brady.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, I would imagine that the part of the reason why Brady ended up injuring his hand in the first place is because they were running handoffs left and right. Because I think that is a way that they're going to attack the Jaguars. We talked about, not being able to defend the deep ball as well. They're not the greatest run defense team either. So, they got a lot of speed, but they don't have a lot of girth up there in the front seven. So I think they can be able to run the ball if the Patriots, can get that offensive line rolling. I think they'd be able to run the ball pretty well against the Jaguars. So maybe that's the way you're going to have to attack this defense. But, I agree. I think that there'll be, certain things you got to look for with that hand, but I can't imagine it will impact him too much going forward.
Well, certainly that is the hope of every Patriots fan who will be watching on Sunday afternoon. Okay, we're going to assume that Tom Brady is going to be healthy enough to play. And if you believe the reports, Mike Reese of ESPN Boston, among others who have said that people close to Tom Brady don't think this is going to be an issue. It's not going to affect his performance really at all on Sunday. We'll wait and see. But if that is the case, the running game again is something that I think the Patriots would like to get going. I was a little surprised that they couldn't do a little bit more last weekend against the Tennessee Titans. I think they put it in the hands of Tom Brady, and Tom Brady had his 3 touchdown passes. The one thing that we did on this very program predict that turned out to be a big factor, I thought, in the offensive production for the Patriots last weekend was the hurry up offense. Now, against this aggressive Jacksonville defense, they like to run a lot of stunts. They can bring 4-man pressure and drop the others in coverage. Do you think hurry up could be a factor again?
I do. I think that, the Patriots run it as well as anybody in the league. And I think that, Brady's one of his biggest things is being able to confuse defenses on the fly like that. And if you do have a team like Jacksonville who runs a lot of stunts and does a lot of different things and tries to get up in your face and do man coverage, I mean, that will tire out any defender if they have to do it over and over and over and over again without stopping. So I think that if I'm not sure, really, I haven't watched a ton of Jaguars film this year or anything like that. So I don't know what their substitution pattern is like. I don't know if they're a heavy substitution team or a light substitution team, but I do think that will have an effect if they can, if the Patriots can get a couple first downs in a row and get it rolling. I think that they'll be able to use that up-tempo offense to their advantage for sure. Again, that will be slowed down considerably if the Jaguars can get a lot of pressure. But if the offensive line can hold up for New England, I think they'll be able to use that up-tempo pretty effectively.
So I found it interesting that Bill Belichick, when I asked him this week on a conference call earlier in the week about the speed and how much the Jacksonville Jaguars fly around the ball, he said, "Don't forget, this is a very massive front line. This is a team that obviously has Marcel Darius among others, and if I saw Marcel Darius on the field, I would try to keep him on the field and get into that hurry up. And I wonder if Darius is out there and they have some of their other big names or big bodies, I should say, on the field. That's when I think if you're Tom Brady, you try to catch the Jaguars with a hurry up look."
Yeah, I agree. Malik Jackson is another one, a guy who was who was in Patriots training camp. Patriots got to look at him. I believe it was last year. Yeah, I think that the guy that I would be the most nervous about on the defensive line is Calais Campbell. I think he is an unbelievable. He's an unbelievable player. Definitely a Defensive Player of the Year candidate this year. And he's the guy who can both stop the run and defend and rush the passer, and that's something that you really got to be careful about. But I agree. I think the Patriots should be able to, I think they can still attack that front line, I guess is what I'm saying. Is you got a guy like Dion Lewis who not only can, run between the tackles, but he is a shifty guy and can shed those arm tackles and things like that. Yeah, and I think the Patriots, again, this offensive line, this is going to be a big test for this offensive line this week. This is going to be really tough for not only to, defend Tom Brady because, with that hand especially, you're going to have to protect Tom Brady to the utmost in this game. But I mean, I think you're going to need guys like Burkhead. You're going to need guys like Gillislee. I think you're going to need all 4 running backs out in this game contributing, as well as, that short passing game and things like that.
I got to tell you, Mike, if Mike Gillislee is active for this game, I think I'd be shocked, barring something we don't know about Dion Lewis, James White, and Rex. And if Rex Burkhead is active, I'd be really surprised if Mike Gillislee were also active. But as you say, you never know. Let's talk about the secondary of the Jacksonville Jaguars. One of the best in the game, a second-year corner, Jalen Ramsey, and Jalen Brown's cousin, A.J. Bouye, who, if you guys didn't hear on Thursday night after the Celtics lost to the 76ers, Jalen Brown said, I'm not going to make any apologies. Wish Tom Brady and the Patriots all the luck in the world. But on Sunday, I hope my cousin has 3 picks and takes them to the house. That would be A.J. Bouye. What do you think of these 2 cornerbacks, considered maybe the best cornerback tandem in the NFL?
Well, first of all, I mean, you can't blame Jalen Brown for wanting his cousin to do well and make it to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? I thought it was kind of crazy on, Twitter last night. Fans were like, well, Jalen Brown, how could you not root for the Patriots?
I'm done with Jalen Brown. Okay, Danny, trade him out of town. Come on.
Like, I don't know, maybe because he's from California and his cousin plays for their team. But, yeah, I think that this cornerback duo is, I would agree, one of the best, if not the best, in all of football. Jalen Ramsey is an absolute freak. The guy's 6'1". He's fast. He's physical. Great playmaker, can make plays on the ball. I wasn't a huge AJ Boye fan, I guess I should say. Early in his career, he has really had a great year this year, though. There is no denying that whatsoever. And they've got a couple of good safeties back there as well, so you can't really count those guys out. They have had trouble defending the tight end in over the course of the season, and the Patriots have the best tight end in all of football. So I think that that'll be a point of emphasis for the Patriots in this game. I think that you didn't get a ton of Gronkowski last week. But this week, I think you'll get a lot more Rob Gronkowski. I think that there's just nobody who can match up with him. I think Telvin Smith, Miles Jack, those guys might be the best bet.
They're fast, though, Mike.
But I think they're too small for him. I really do. I think that they just can't. Like, I don't think Miles Jack is big enough to hang on to Rob Gronkowski for the entirety of the game.
Well, it'd be interesting to see how they play that, because I've always thought that you defend Rob Gronkowski with a handoff strategy. What is a handoff? A handoff is when somebody chips Rob Gronkowski at the line of scrimmage, even if he's in motion. And the Patriots love to use Gronk in motion, so that's much, much harder to do that. But what you do is you try, ideally, to chip Gronkowski, just pummel him at the line of scrimmage and hand him off to the second level of defense. And then, hope that if you beat up on him early in the game, that, wears Gronk down a little bit. I mean, yes, he's a freakish athlete and he's a beast out there, but that doesn't mean you don't try and wear Gronk down. And I think, teams that attack Gronk like that have usually had some degree of success. But that being said, what you're trying to really do is disrupt the rhythm of Tom Brady. Okay, enough about the Patriots offense against the Jaguars defense. How can people possibly be concerned about Blake Bortles? Answer me that question, Mike.
I'm not sure you can. I think that he is. it was actually kind of funny listening to Boston media over the past couple of days talking about, especially since the Tom Brady hand injury, the fact of Brian Hoyer possibly being in this game, and how Brian Hoyer is now the third best quarterback left in the playoffs as opposed to Blake. I do think Blake Bortles is a better quarterback than Brian Hoyer. I'm going to say that right now, but I wouldn't say he's significantly better. I wouldn't say that he is head and shoulders above Brian Hoyer. I think that excuse me. I think that if that ended up happening, if it was Hoyer versus Bortles at the end of this game, I think a lot of fans would be pretty upset. But I do think Bortles has the upper hand. I mean, look, the guy can run. As we saw a couple weeks ago, that's something that you're going to have to be careful of.
My biggest concern, if I'm the Patriots, is essentially the first half of the Buffalo Bills wildcard game, when Blake Bortles really took it to the Bills. Obviously, Jacksonville couldn't finish their drives, but he had some big runs in that game to put Jacksonville in position to score late in the first half of that Bills game. And I think if you're Bill Belichick, I'm sure they took a look at those runs and went, look, our talk about Marcus Mariota being able to beat you with his feet. Of all the mobile quarterbacks we have seen, Blake Bortles is very best mobile quarterbacks. If you let him get out and run with the ball, he can hurt you big.
Yeah, definitely. And it's tough too, because he's not necessarily a quarterback that you would spy necessarily. As Mariota, you would put a spy on him, like, and kind of watching the whole time. But Blake Bortles, you're not going to do that. So I agree. I think that I think the Patriots' inability to get a lot of pressure this year might actually help them in a way in this game, because they won't be necessarily flushing Bortles out of the pocket and forcing him to run. Because I do think Bortles isn't a guy like Brady who will look at all four progressions before taking off and running. He'll look at one, maybe two, and if he has nothing, he's off and running. So I think that the Patriots, if they can just kind of manage to contain him in the pocket, like they do with a lot of like they attempt to do with a lot of mobile quarterbacks, I think they can kind of force him to throw the ball. And he's the kind of guy who I think will try to force a ball in here. Again, he's never played in a big playoff game like this. His biggest playoff game was last week. So, the pressure obviously ratchets up. Maybe he'll try to do too much. I think that's kind of what you have to hope for if you're the Patriots. You can't necessarily depend on the fact that oh, we're going to get to the, we're going to pressure the quarterback. We're going to sack him 5 times like we got to Mariota last week. You can't really necessarily depend on that. And you're going to have to play more better defense on the back end and just kind of hope to contain Bortles in the pocket.
And I think what the Patriots were able to do and have done over the years is make in-game adjustments better than anybody. That first quarter last week against the Tennessee Titans, they looked rusty on both sides of the ball, I thought. And I thought Tennessee on that 90-yard drive for their first touchdown of the game when Marcus Mariota threw that perfect pass for the touchdown, spectacular catch there. I thought that was a little bit concerning, but the Patriots made their adjustments and were able to really, get a beat on what the Titans were trying to do offensively. I would not be surprised if we saw some of the same this weekend against Jacksonville, where the Jaguars, maybe they come out, they put together some drives, and obviously one person we haven't talked about is Leonard Fournette. I cannot imagine that Leonard Fournette is going to have 100 to 125 yards in this game, the kind of yardage that I would expect the Jaguars would need from him to have a chance to win this game. I just can't see the Belichick Patriot defense and Matt Patricia allowing that to happen.
No, I agree. I think they'll make Blake Bortles beat them in this game. I think that they'll pack that line of scrimmage, because let's not forget, TJ Yeldon, while he's not a great back by any means, he is certainly good enough to make an impact, especially in the passing game, how they've been using him.
Absolutely.
So but I think that they will force Blake Bortles to win this game. I think that they'll stack the line, they'll stack the box, and they'll try to do as much as they can to stop Leonard Fournette, who is a guy who as a bigger, bulkier back, does kind of need to get a head of steam going in sort of a LeGarrette Blount type of way. Needs to get a head of steam going before he can really be effective. And the Patriots do a really good job of stopping guys at the line of scrimmage like that. So I think that's the approach that they'll take. They'll force Blake Bortles to beat them. But again, it's easier said than done. We thought that all those years ago when they played the Baltimore Ravens, and Ray Rice changed that pretty quickly. So things like that will happen. But I got to tell you, I'm not entirely concerned about things like the scheme of this Jaguars offense. I think it's a very kind of basic pro style offense. They like to run the football. They like to throw, quick slants and quick screens and things like that. They're not coming at you with all sorts of motion like a team like Kansas City or teams like that have given the Patriots trouble in the past, especially this year. So I'm much more worried about the Jaguars defense just because of their ability to make plays and the types of playmakers they have on the team. The offense does not rattle me too much. I got to be honest with you.
No, and Tommy Bohannon, God bless him, had a touchdown catch late in the game against the Steelers. But, I just don't see names here. Maybe Mercedes Lewis. He's a veteran who's been around a long time. He's a tight end, and he is one of Blake Bortles' favorite targets. I could see him having a factor much in the same way that the Titans use their tight end. Name escapes me right now.
Delaney Walker.
But yeah, Delaney Walker. Thank you very much, Mike. I could see him, having a big catch here and there, but nobody on this roster really concerns me. And obviously I don't study it the way Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia study it, but obviously this is an offense designed to not screw up, manage the game, and let the defense try to win the game and wear teams down in field position. That's one thing that I thought the Patriots did an exceptional job last Saturday night of, and that is winning field position against Marcus Mariota and the Titans.
Well, the thing is that was a big thing about special teams is the Patriots generally have the advantage on special teams because they focus so heavily on that aspect of the game. The Jaguars have a very good special teams unit. They do. They have a good punter, they have a good kicker, and they have their whole team is fast, so they can really get down in coverage and stuff like that. So it could be a bit of a difference in this game. I think field position is something that you're going to have to keep an eye on. The Patriots generally do a good job of pinning their opponent inside the 20 and then not getting pinned inside the 20 themselves. So that'll be something to watch for sure. We also haven't really talked about this Patriots defense that has been playing a lot better over the past couple weeks, especially last week with the 5 sacks, which was something I don't think any of us were expecting. I know we didn't talk about it last week. I know we
8 sacks.
Exactly. So that's a very impressive stat and if you can come out and even get 5 or 6 on Bortles this week, I think that'll pretty much put the Jaguars offense in a coffin, because they just can't do anything if they're getting, Bortles can't get anything going, and then the Patriots are stopping the run with Leonard Fournette. I think that'll be that'll pretty much shut down that Jaguars offense for good. But again, I mean, the Patriots pass rush has been pretty inconsistent this year, so that's something to keep an eye on.
Well, and the other thing I would say about that, if I'm Doug Marrone, I really play this game close to the vest, and I emphasize to Blake Bortles, no negative plays, or keep negative plays to a very minimum, because as you pointed out, that the field position was everything last Saturday against the Titans, and when those negative plays start to build up and you lose field position, that's when I think the Patriots are at their best. And yes, the Patriots defense has been incredibly improved, and not giving up the big plays downfield, and I don't think that changes this week with Blake Bortles, but the Patriots have to be wary of a team that tries to wear them down with the ground attack and finding different ways, maybe to get TJ Yeldon involved in space. That is something that I think you do make a very good point. That's something that the Jaguars could turn to. Okay, before we get on to a quick prediction, I want to know from you, Michael Angie, when will you feel comfortable that Tom Brady is okay watching this game?
That's a good question. I think, I would probably have to give it at least one quarter, at least, because, games like this, you kind of have to get warmed up, especially Brady, if he's not practicing. I know he didn't practice yesterday. If he's not practicing today, who knows? Right. Things like that. I think that he's going to have to shake off the rust a little bit, and he's going to have to, get a little bit of a feeling in that hand and see what he can do with it. But, I would say if you're in the middle of the second quarter and Brady is still not looking right, he's still not throwing the ball with any zip or anything like that, I think you can start to have some concerns. But again, like we said, I mean, I think the Patriots very well could come out with that game plan against the Indianapolis Colts a couple of years ago, where they run the ball, down your throat with Jonas Gray or something like that. You know what I mean? Right. And then you could not see Tom Brady throw a pass until the end of the first quarter. So I guess it's either way. I would say give it one quarter to see, what's going on. But again, I don't think it's going to be too noticeable of a thing, because I don't think the Patriots are going to really try to push the ball downfield like they have in the past few weeks, despite the fact that that's a way you can attack the Jaguars. I just don't think they'll risk it with Brady's hand. But again, if Brady's fully healthy and we have no idea, and he can grip a ball just fine, he can throw a ball just fine, we'll know right away.
Okay, and certainly the broadcasters during the CBS broadcast made this point that the one way you can attack the Jacksonville Jaguars, or teams have attacked them this year, is over the middle, up the middle, running the ball. And that is something I would be curious to see if the Patriots try that right out of the chute. Like you said, the Patriots did against the Colts a couple of years ago. Could we see the same kind of formula where the Patriots try to smash mouth it, and Tom Brady's hand is really a non-factor for most of the game? I'm sure the Patriots wouldn't mind that being the case, that they take the burden a little bit off Tom Brady a little bit and get their platoon of running backs, their wealth of running backs involved early in this game. I'm curious to see if Rex Burkhead plays, how effective he will be. Okay, we have to wrap it up here, Mike. I want your prediction, your fearless prediction for Sunday at Gillette Stadium.
This is a tough one. I've kind of been waffling back and forth in this. I think it'll be a close game. I didn't think it would be a close game before the Brady injury. I'll say that right now. Full disclosure, I thought they were going to win by 15, 16 points when Tom Brady was fully healthy. At this point, I do still think it'll be maybe a 10-point win. I think that they'll cover the spread. I believe it's still 10 points or 9.5 points or whatever. I think they'll cover that. I would say 30-20 is what I'll say. I'll say a 10-point win, 30-20. I think the Patriots will be able to put points up on the board. I think they'll be able to attack with the running game. I think the Patriots defense will play well enough. I wouldn't be shocked if the Jacksonville defense got 7 of those or 6 of those 20 points in that game.
So, Patriot fans remember the 1996 AFC Championship. The lights went out at Old Foxborough Stadium. Do you remember that? Do you remember that, Mike?
I was very, very young, and I do remember.
Yes, and the final of that game was 20-6. Bill Parcells and the Patriots beating Tom Coughlin's Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to add a field goal for good measure for the Patriots this week, and I don't see the Jacksonville Jaguars scoring on this defense. I just don't see Blake Bortles damaging the Patriots. I think it's 23-6. The Patriots head on to their record 10th Super Bowl in Minneapolis. By the way, while I'm at the art of predictions here, I actually like the Philadelphia Eagles, not the Minnesota Vikings this weekend, to advance to the Super Bowl. Who do you like in the NFC?
Wow, that surprised me. I do like the Philly defense. I think they're a very good defense, and they have a lot of playmakers on that offensive side. I don't know, man. Case Keenum has been having some kind of year. He really has. And
I don't mean to diss what the Vikings just pulled off at home against the Minneapolis Miracle, you know, what Case Keenum was able to do on that last play of the game to Stephon Diggs. However, I think going into Philly and winning with a Philadelphia franchise that destiny just seems like it's been on their side all year long, even with Carson Wentz going down to the ACL injury. I like the Eagles.
I think it'd be a great storyline. You know, what is it? 13 years later, the Patriots and the Eagles back in the Super Bowl. I think that'd be a great storyline. But you know, I think I'm going to have to go with Minnesota. That defense is the best defense that I've seen all year, without question. That
better than Jacksonville's.
I think so. I mean, they are suffocating out there. They have a great pass rush. They have great linebackers. They have great safety play. Who is that? Terrence Newman at 39 years old at cornerback. So, you know,
Zimmer has always loved Terrence Newman from his days back with the Cowboys, with the Cincinnati Bengals, and now with the Vikings.
And he has been unbelievable this year at such an advanced age. I mean, he's pulling off some Tom Brady-like stuff on the other side of the ball. And look, a first home team to ever play in a Super Bowl, I think that'd be really interesting. I think that's what's going to happen. All
right, we'll wrap it up here. We both like the Patriots to advance to Super Bowl 52 in Minneapolis. We'll have you covered, of course, on game day. Alex Barth will have the Patriots pregame show. Marvin Ezon and Mike Molyneux will have the postgame show. I will have, of course, live tweeting and reporting from Foxborough throughout the AFC Championship, and my five from Foxborough, brought to you by DraftKings.com, as is this Patriots Roundtable. I'd like to thank Mike Alonji for joining me. My name is Mike Petralia. So long, and see you on Sunday.